Picture an ultra-private VIP lounge. Music shaking the walls. Cameras flashing. Industry power players everywhere. Then suddenly, the energy shifts. The room goes silent. Standing face to face are Michael Jordan and super agent Rich Paul. And this isn't a friendly exchange. Jordan's expression is ice cold. The same locked-in stare fans remember from his fiercest playoff battles. This wasn't business as usual. It looked personal. For years, the debate over the NBA's greatest player has centered on championships, statistics, and highlight reels. But behind the scenes, the conversation has grown more intense. Rich Paul, founder of Clutch Sports Group and longtime representative of LeBron James, has been vocal in shaping the narrative around LeBron's legacy. And some of his comments haven't sat well with Jordan loyalists. In past interviews and podcast appearances, Paul has argued that LeBron's journey was tougher because he had to live in Jordan's shadow from the time he was a teenager. He's questioned the way greatness is measured and challenged the long-standing belief that Jordan stands alone at the top. Critics say it feels like a strategic effort to reshape basketball history before LeBron's career officially closes. Supporters argue it's simply defending their client. Either way, tensions have clearly risen. Because when legends feel their legacy is being tested, things can turn serious fast. And when Michael Jordan steps into the room, the conversation changes.
But I just think LeBron's antlers is in platinum and Michael's may be in gold. Why? Because when you think about, he had to be compared to Mike. Who did Mike have to be compared to?
Talk about it.
Now imagine the reaction to that argument. Critics say it sounds like an attempt to flip the pressure narrative, suggesting that carrying expectations from high school is somehow heavier than spending a decade and a half dominating the NBA's biggest stages. They point to Michael Jordan battling the bad boy Detroit Pistons in the late 80s and early 90s, fighting through punishing playoff series before finally breaking through. To them, that grind speaks louder than any pre-draft hype. Then came the moment that truly ignited backlash. In a January podcast appearance with Max Kellerman, Rich Paul attempted to explain the global dominance of Jordan Brand. Using a whiteboard to map out his thinking, Paul argued that the brand's explosion wasn't just about championships or business instincts. Instead, he linked its rise to cultural forces of the 1980s and 1990s, claiming street culture and status symbolism played a major role in elevating the logo that takes stunned many fans. To Jordan supporters, the idea downplayed 6 championships, iconic performances, and marketing genius. To others, Paul was simply discussing the broader cultural environment that helped amplify the brand's reach. Either way, the comment poured fuel on an already heated debate, one that goes far beyond stats and trophies and cuts straight into legacy, influence, and history itself.
And you used me as an example because I was sitting in front of you. You said, it's not that Michael Jordan did this, it's that the influencer who had the BMW or whatever, you said, like Max with the fly girl and the BMW. So you're saying
what I was saying was the hustler.
According to critics, Rich Paul pushed the argument even further. On the podcast, he claimed, in blunt terms, that people weren't buying Air Jordans simply because they wanted to be like Mike. Instead, he suggested the appeal was tied more to status, image, and the lifestyle associated with the era. That comment immediately stirred debate. For supporters of Michael Jordan, it felt like a dismissal of in a global aura that transcended sports. Others interpret Paul's words as an attempt to highlight the cultural climate of the time, not diminish Jordan's legacy. But regardless of intent, the statement intensified an already heated conversation. When you touch the foundation of Jordan's influence, reactions are never quiet. They echo across generations.
That's a whole nother thing that Mike never had to deal with because his hardest critic was probably Peter Vesey.
Yep. Straight up.
You see what I'm saying?
To many Jordan loyalists, the comments felt like more than just analysis. They felt personal. When Rich Paul suggested that the rise of Jordan Brand was driven more by cultural timing than competitive dominance, critics heard something else. They heard an argument that downplayed the excellence of Michael Jordan and the loyalty of the fans who helped build a global empire now valued in the billions. Paul also referenced entertainers like Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, suggesting pop culture played a major role in elevating the sneakers. Supporters of Jordan pushed back hard. To them, it wasn't Hollywood that made the shoes iconic. It was 6 championships, clutch performances, and a level of competitive fire that transformed the NBA into a worldwide spectacle. The debate didn't stop there. Paul argued that timing mattered, that Jordan benefited from playing in an era without social media scrutiny and nonstop news cycles. He implied that today's environment would have amplified flaws the same way it magnifies modern stars. Critics quickly pointed out the irony. Media narratives have always existed, and the 1990 sports press was far from a friendly fan club. Veteran reporters like Peter Vexi were known for being tough, not protective. At its core, this isn't just about sneakers or statistics. It's about legacy. Paul, as the architect behind LeBron James' brand strategy, naturally advocates for his client. Elevating one all-time great in a GOAT debate often means challenging another. But Jordan supporters argue that his influence went beyond championships, that he helped redefine what a global sports superstar could be. Before Jordan, NBA players were stars. After him, they became worldwide icons. That's why the reaction has been so strong. When conversations shift from comparing eras to questioning the foundation of someone's legacy, emotions rise. And in basketball, few legacies are more fiercely defended than Michael Jordan's.
I used to get boxes in the mail all the time of the Jays before they even hit the stores. I started my media career. As soon as I said that LeBron James was the GOAT, those boxes stopped coming.
To Jordan supporters, the pattern feels obvious. Every time Rich Paul speaks on the GOAT debate, they hear the same theme: timing, culture, circumstance. The suggestion is that Michael Jordan benefited from his era, from the lack of social media, from the environment around him. Critics believe those arguments slowly chip away at the foundation of Jordan's legend, softening the ground for the day when LeBron James retires and the crown is up for permanent claim. Then came the story that sent social media into overdrive, an alleged face-to-face moment at a high-profile charity event in Miami. According to whispers from attendees, the room was filled with league executives, celebrities, and former stars when Jordan approached Paul. No shouting, no scene, just a cold stare and a few sharp words. The reported message? Legacy isn't something you can manufacture. It isn't bought through branding strategies or debated into existence on podcasts. It's built in real time, the world. Whether the exchange unfolded exactly as described or has grown in the retelling, the symbolism is what matters. Jordan represents an era where dominance defined the narrative. 6 championships, 2 three-peats, a global cultural shift that turned NBA athletes into worldwide icons. His supporters argue that influence wasn't handed to him. It was earned possession by possession. Meanwhile, LeBron's camp has taken a different route. Through interviews, documentaries like More Than an Athlete, and carefully framed public messaging, LeBron has openly stated his belief that he belongs at the very top of basketball history. After the historic 2016 finals comeback with the Cleveland Cavaliers, he looked into the camera and called himself the greatest of all time. It was bold, it was direct, in place, and that didn't sit well with traditionalists. Then there was the now famous ghost comment in a 2016 interview with Sports Illustrated. LeBron described chasing the ghost in Chicago, clearly referencing Jordan's legacy with the Chicago Bulls. Supporters saw it as respect, proof that Jordan remained the standard. Critics, however, interpreted it differently. To them, calling someone a ghost subtly turns greatness into folklore, something distant rather than tangible. The debate spilled into media circles as well. Kendra Perkins, once closely associated with Jordan Brand, later became one of LeBron's most vocal supporters in the GOAT conversation. In March 2025, Perkins stated publicly that he no longer received early sneaker packages after shifting his stance. Whether coincidence or consequence, It added another layer to a rivalry that now extends far beyond the hardwood. At its core, this isn't just about quotes or endorsements. It's about two icons, two eras, and two very different approaches to defining greatness. One built on mystique and dominance, the other on longevity and open declaration. And as long as the numbers and narratives keep evolving, so will the argument.